Yo, what's good with y'all, man? I'm mad hyped for this video. This one is called Former 33rd Degree Mason Reveals the Darkest Secrets of Freemasonry by a guy named Almost False. Drop a like on my video. I'm about to like his video real quick. Yo, this guy has some crazy stories on his channel. Like one about like a ex-satanic warlock and a high wizard and dog, mad stuff. And I do want to say this. This I'm pretty sure he's a Christian, so if that offends some of y'all, I'm sorry, but bro, leave the Christian shit aside. If you're like, if you don't like religion, bro, just leave that to the side and watch the video, because there's gonna be some good stuff. And in fact, I got some Taylor Port inside this cup, you know what I'm saying? So I might get a little bit lit as we're watching this. You know what I'm saying? I'm hype, yo. Let's get into this shit.
I was like the youngest guy in the lodge by 20 years.
Got some tea
and
too.
this guy comes forward and he says, we're going to lead you through this oath. But it's this long, involved, and ultimately blood-curdling oath. What none of these men understand is that deep down inside there's this very dark, evil energy. I would go up to these guys that have been in the Scottish Rite forever. And I'd say, okay, I'm now a sublime prince of the royal secret. So what's the royal secret? And again, this is something that probably only 1 in 1,000 Masons in America understand. Is that the royal secret?
What's the royal secret, my guy? Can't
Hello,
wait
and
for
welcome
that.
back to the Almost False podcast.
I'm gonna be really mad if the royal secret is that you are God, because that is something that you learn from Masonry. Like in Freemasonry, you do all this stuff, go through all these rituals, and at the very end, you get the ultimate truth that you are actually God. You know what I'm saying? But I know there's more shit to it that we don't know about because it's a secret society. So let's get into it.
Podcast
Bro.
where
I'm
interview
gonna
regular
try not to
people
talk too
with
much.
incredible stories. Today's guest is someone who has explored the darkest levels of spirituality, one of them being Freemasonry. He became a 33rd degree Mason, was part of high-level secret societies, and he is not afraid to share what he's not supposed to talk about. So I took this opportunity to ask him as much as I could in the limited time that we had. No matter how much you know or don't know about Freemasonry, I can almost guarantee you that you'll learn a lot from this interview, as everything that is shared here is in some way related to it. Get ready to have your mind blown by Mr. Bill Schneblin as he shares a dark journey that him and his wife took
Bill
and the
Schneblin.
unsettling things that they uncovered
It's a funny
along the
name,
way.
Schneblin.
When I got to college, and again, I wanted to be a priest. This was a minor seminary college, Loras College. At the time, it was a minor seminary. It isn't anymore. I had a priest in my theology class who had a doctorate in theology, and he
Let me say this: if you see inside this, actually, no, let me not say that. I was going to kind of spoil the video based upon what you see inside the thumbnail, because I'm gonna make the thumbnail after seeing this video, and I was gonna say if the thumbnail says X, Y, and Z, that means that at the end of this video I saw X, Y, and Z. But nah, nigga, we gotta be surprised together, nigga. Fuck you, mean?
he was teaching a course in Christology, because again, I was wanting to be a priest, and he took me aside, and he said, if you want to be a priest in the Catholic Church, it's taught, sacerdotes est altus Christus, the priest is another Christ.
What?
So if you want to be like Christ, he said,
Now the thing is, I'm starting pausing so much. We could all be like Christ, but don't Christians believe that it's blasphemy to call yourself Christ? Like, don't they believe that that's blasphemy? So I find it kind of weird that the priests say that we're like Christ, or that we are like another Christ, but the people who follow them can't be Christ. What, bro? What are we talking about?
says to me, do you want to be like Christ? And I says, well, of course. Doesn't every Christian want to be like Christ?
Yeah.
He said, well, if you want to be like Christ, you need to do what Christ did. And
He
again,
do?
that made sense.
What he do?
And again, nowadays we've kind of become suspicious about priests. But this was like 1968. And a priest was like God. I mean, whatever the priest said, that was it.
Horrible.
And he said, well, if you want to be like Christ, you need to do what he did. And he went to the East and studied with the gurus in India. He went and studied with the lamas in Tibet. He went to Egypt and studied with the magicians there. That's how he was able to raise the dead, to walk on water, to do all these miracles. So he says, what you need to do is you need to start studying the occult. And this is a priest telling me this. And so
That's kind
I
of
thought,
wild.
okay, now
That nigga said, yeah, bro, you want to become a priest, bro? Get into the fucking occult. Now, the occult's not inherently evil. Occult just means hidden. But while studying the hidden aspects of reality, you can come across some very evil shit.
Mind you, this is obviously decades before there was an internet. I mean, there was a little bookstore downtown, and I went there and I found a few scattering books on like the occult, and I found this book
So he became a Freemason to become a priest. That's crazy.
that was called Diary of a Witch by Sybil Leek. And she was one of the very first witches to, so to speak, come
Time
out of
for
the
the
broom
teleport.
closet. She was a British woman, and she was a medium. And anyhow, I read the book, and she was asserting in the book that witches were not evil, that this was an ancient pagan mystery religion. Among other things, she claimed that Jesus was a witch and his 12 apostles were his.
You see, that's where they can start stretching shit, bro. Like, listen, like I said, I'm not no Christian, bro. I'm not no religious person, bro. Um, but I do read the Bible. This nigga was not a witch. You know what I'm saying? This nigga was like, what, bro? Like, if anything, he'll be likened onto like an immortal. He was like the Tibetan immortals, the Taoist immortals, the Hindu immortals. He's more along the lines of that, not a witch, bro. Witches do witchcraft. Witches have to conjure spells using usually with witchcraft you use stuff like herbs or other materials to do witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? Christ didn't need that. If he wanted to fucking do magic, he would just snap his fingers, nigga. Fuck you mean?
His coven along with their wives. So I kind of bought into that, and I wrote to.
This was 1968 though, so I can't fault him too much. But nigga, what?
I found out about this guy Alex Sanders, who was the supposed king of the witches over in London. I sent him a letter.
The king of the witches.
This is around 1968, 69. And his wife sent me back a thing. Okay, here's a coven in Rockford, Illinois, which is about 90 minutes from Dubuque. I went there and I got initiated as a witch. And then later on, I hooked up with an Alexandrian coven in Boston, and I was made a witch high priest. Started covens in, first of all, in Dubuque, where I was, and then moved to Milwaukee because there was a fellow there who had an occult bookstore, because Milwaukee's a huge city. And he said, I've got all these people that want to become witches. Can you come and teach them?
When we're talking about like you being in a coven and you doing witchcraft, I just want to make sure that we don't skip over that part. Like, what kind of witchcraft are we talking about? Because
Yeah, I was wondering
It was okay, witchcraft.
Not for me. Like, let's not skip that shit. You became a witch. What did you do as a witch first? Don't skip that shit.
Originally, the kind of publicly available witchcraft was originally started by Gerald Gardner, and he came out, and witchcraft became legal in England. It was a crime until 1951. It was made legal, and
Did not know that.
He claimed, and all of this is disputed, but he claimed that he came in contact with an ancient coven of witches in the New Forest region of England. They initiated him and then made him a high priest, and he went off and initiated other people.
What did he do though?
Then there's this other bunch.
Like, what kind of magic?
This Alex Sanders fellow. He also claims to have been initiated by a ancient line of witches by his grandmother.
ChatGPT, what's a future-proof business?
I ain't gonna make y'all watch that shit, bro.
By a ancient line of witches by his grandmother. So those were the two main fountainheads of witchcraft in the 60s. Both were from England, but both had, spread to America. And it was white witchcraft. Both groups, their rituals were virtually identical. And but the Alexandrian group that I was in was more into ceremonial magic.
And what was y'all
which is
doing,
like
though?
kind of
like, I know what that is, but like, what was y'all trying to like okay, I did a ceremony for what? Yeah, that's what I want to know, bro. Come on, he's gonna get to that.
if in like Protestantism, they have the distinction between high church and low church.
Did not know that.
Well, Alexandrian is more high church witchcraft.
Okay.
But we didn't believe in the devil.
Okay.
We didn't think we were worshiping the devil. We thought we were worshiping a goddess, a moon goddess, and a horn god.
He's like on some Wiccan shit then. That's like some Wiccan shit. I know a little bit about it. But I might be tripping though. But I know that Wiccans have like that moon goddess, nigga with horn, whatever the fuck.
It's like ditheism, if you will, two deities, and we didn't believe in demons. We
That's
just
crazy.
believed that
Not believing in demons is crazy. What?
it was all this nature, airy, fairy,
how you going
gathering herbs in the forest.
how you gonna believe in the supernatural and not consider demons? So you think that everything supernatural is good? What are we talking about? The word demon just means an evil spirit. You know what I'm saying? You don't think that evil exists in the spiritual planes too? That's so dumb to me, bro. Either don't believe in anything, either don't believe in the supernatural at all, or if you're gonna believe in the supernatural, understand that there's fucking good and evil. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that shit.
Forest and dancing in the nude, and
Oh,
it all
it
sounds
was one of
very
those
innocent.
dancing naked in the forest. Y'all was on y'all was one
Except
of them type
there's,
niggas.
especially in the
They got
Alexandrian
his
rite,
dick out
there's
dancing in the
also
woods.
some sex magic that's involved.
Yeah, fucking
So
yeah,
does
all
that kind
that.
of answer your question?
Yes.
It didn't answer mine, bro. What was like? Can y'all tell me one ritual that y'all did to manifest? Like, what result we are trying to get? We're trying to manifest money, manifest bitches, manifest drugs, trying to manifest a better earth for everybody. What was y'all actually doing, my nigga? How did the guy that got us interact with y'all? Did y'all have experiences with that motherfucker? What did they tell you to do? But this is about Freemasonry though, so I'll let that shit slide. But anyway, yeah.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying. I just wanted to make sure that we got that covered. So actually, let's go back to the occult bookstore that you were talking about, and let's pick up the story from there.
Well, so anyway, so we hooked up with this fellow in the basement of the store. We would hold these classes. They were packed because there were all these people. And again, this was 1972. And, there was all these people that are kind of like quasi hippies, and they wanted to get into the occult and magic and blah, blah, blah. The other thing that happened at the same time is that we encountered this fellow called Eli, who was a Grandmaster Druid of North America. And Druids are a little bit different than witches. It's kind of like
Was
the
he
difference
really a
between being a
druid?
Baptist and being a Methodist, And we were invited down to Arkansas, which is where this fellow lived. He had lived on top of a mountain. He had kind of a what do you call it, a organic farm there. And we went through the whole summer, got all this occult training. We were, high priests in Druidism by the time we got done. At one point, I understand this fellow that owned the occult bookstore, he was kind of a manipulative guy who was very, he was older than me, very cunning. He told me, he took me aside and he said, if you really want to understand magic, you need to read this book. And he handed me the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. And I said, well, why would I want to read a
I thought that he didn't do. I thought Anton LaVey thought that all that shit was bullshit and that he was simply just using Satan as a symbol of rebellion and whatever the fuck.
the Satanic Bible, which
Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe that's a different. I'm pretty sure that was Anton LaVey though. They don't believe in anything. They're just atheists that use Satan as a symbol. But I could be tripping.
don't believe in Satan. And he said, well, just read the book. And his
That nigga said, "Fuck your question, but read the book, nigga. You'll get all that."
LaVey's contention was that magic is really about Satan. But Satan is like an archetype, he said.
Okay.
There is no real Satan,
That's
but
what I
it's like
thought.
an energy, egregore, an art.
Did not know. I didn't know that he said it was the energy. I thought he just believed that it was like a symbol, test for liberation and freedom. I didn't know. I didn't know they did magic and shit. My bad. Let me shut the fuck up, right?
Type that you can draw upon. And it kind of made sense to me. And again, the devil was gradually pulling me
My fault. I actually got one of these books. I don't know which one it is, but I got one of these books over here. This is the Code of Jewish Law, I'm pretty sure. But I could be tripping, but this is what my book looked like on the side.
in. Like the whole thing about the camel getting its nose in a tent before you know it, the camel's in there.
Hey, jump a like on my
So
video,
I
gang.
wrote
Hey.
the Church of Satan, which at that time was in San Francisco. I became a member, a first degree member. And then later on, I went through some exams and studies, and I became a warlock, which was a second degree member of the Church of Satan. And at this also, I should say this, because this is critical. This Eli guy, the Grand Druid down in Arkansas, he gave us 2 words of advice. First of all, he said, if you really want to understand Luciferian energy, You need to join the Freemasonic order.
That's tell you all the fuck you need to know, nigga. That nigga said, you want to understand Lucifer, become a Freemason. Nigga.
And he himself was a 33rd degree Mason. He showed me his little certificate he got.
Mm-hmm.
He also told me
Nigga
that
has
if he ever felt like we were in deep spiritual trouble, that I should join the Mormon church.
What? Ew,
because
Mormons?
it was a church that had been started by witches,
Makes sense,
for
okay.
witches, that we could hang out in and pretend to be nice. You know, the image of the Mormon church. They're straight, nice, wonderful, all American people.
I don't
with
like Mormonism.
Happy families and white picket fences and
Nah.
all of that.
Nah.
But secretly, they believe almost the same doctrines that witches believe. And we can get into that if you want. But anyhow, so he gave us that advice. And again, this was in the early 70s. So I joined the Masonic Lodge, became a Master Mason at the same time as I was a Satanist and a witch. And only our inner circle of the witches that we
this nigga was trying to become a priest and ended up becoming a fucking Satanist, a witch, and all that. Isn't that crazy, bro? Like, what?
By this time, we've initiated over 100 witches. And only our inner circle knew that we were also Satanists. And we were continuing in this, and I finally figured out that there was a deeper level of Satanism.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in touch with some of them. And again, there was no internet. We had to do all this by mail and whatnot. And there was a group in Michigan called the Order of the Black Ram, which is like more hardcore satanic stuff. There was another group in Chicago called the Brotherhood, and I got involved with them because they were closer, because Milwaukee's just up the road about 90 miles from Chicago. And I got really, I sold my soul to the devil. That's how deep.
You cannot sell your soul, bro. You cannot sell your soul. You can only believe that you did it. Your belief is what gets you fucked up.
If I got into this stuff.
Yeah. Before we actually get to that part, I want to make sure to take some time to talk about Freemasonry, because Freemasonry, it's very rare to actually talk about to talk to former Masons, because it's something that you're not supposed to talk about. So it's kind of an opportunity while I have you here to kind of, for me personally, to learn, but also for the people to kind of have a knowledge about what Freemasonry is. You said that you became a Master Mason. Can you explain how the degrees and the lodges are set up in Freemasonry so people actually understand what we're talking about?
Well, the basic thing is what's called the Blue Lodge. And that consists of 3 degrees: entered apprentice, fellow craft, and Master Mason. A lot of Masons never go any further than that. I did. But
yeah.
Basically, it's like an initiatory process. The requirements are you have to, at that time, now mind you, I think I joined in 75. You had to be a man, freeborn, of good report, and well recommended. So they asked you if you believe in God, and I said, yes, I did. And they didn't ask which God I believed in. They just, do you believe in God? And I said, yes. I didn't tell them that the God I believed in had horns. So anyhow, I went through there's this whole process. You do a lot of memory work, they call it. You memorize all of these ritual things. You have a mentor who's called your poster, who's an older Mason.
Bro, I know mad Freemasons, bro. I know like 2 immediate Freemasons. I got a friend whose mom used to be a Freemason. Nigga, in my family, there's some Freemason shit. Like, I ain't no Freemason, you know what I'm saying? But somewhere down the line, there's some Freemasons. Someone in my family is married to someone who has, I think, uncles that are Freemasons, bro. Nigga, I've been driving around seeing mad Freemason lodges, bro. That shit be heavy, bro. I ain't gonna cap.
The guy that I had was a real, very kind guy, an executive in the power company. I can't remember the name of the company. And he helped me memorize all this stuff. And then you go to 2nd degree, and then you have a whole bunch of stuff to memorize. And just let me touch this briefly, because people ask me, well, at what point does Masonry start to look creepy? I mean, because there's tons of Christians that are Masons. Literally thousands of them.
I don't understand that, bro. I think the word Christian literally doesn't mean shit nowadays, bro. Cause how the fuck are you a Christian and a Mason? That don't make no goddamn sense.
And I just asked him, how can you do that? I
That's what I'm
mean,
saying.
because when you start out as a Mason, they make you come to the lodge, they make you take off all your clothes except your undies. They put you in this like jammies. They're like, they're like pajamas. They're like typically the one knee is bare and one breast is bare, your left breast, and I think your right knee, and you're blindfolded. You have a cable around your neck. It's like a velvet. They call it a cable tow. It's like a velvet blue rope, and you're tied up, and you're led to the door of the lodge, and you've got a guy leading you because, of course, you're blindfolded. He knocks on the door, and somebody on this is all ritualized, and the guy on the other side says, "Who comes here?" And your guy who's guiding you, who's a lodge officer, he says, "Mr. Bill Sneblin, who has been long in darkness, and now seeks to be brought to light, to receive the rights and benefits of the worshipful lodge erected to God as all members have done before." And I asked Mr. Christian, Mr. Pastor, Mr. Elder, because there's, like it used to be, I don't know if it still is, it used to be 40% of the pastors in a Southern Baptist convention were Freemasons. And how can you say that you're in darkness when you have Jesus in your heart? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
Well, I don't think that that's the part that would confuse me. I mean, I kind of get it. They're saying you're in darkness because you don't really know that much, right? Like you could be a Christian and not know that much, so they still they could still say that you're in darkness because you're a Christian, but you don't know like the true secrets of God. You know what I'm saying? So you're in darkness. But I mean, I get what he's saying, but that's not the major like thing that's throwing me off. You know what I'm saying? At all.
yeah, that's not it.
Okay,
You
what
go into
else?
the lodge, you're led around, like they call it circumambulation. You walk around the lodge. They have these officers, the junior warden, the senior warden at the different, things of the compass. And in the east is the worshipful master, who's like the big cheese. Then you're made to kneel at this altar. Again, you're still blindfolded. And you're made to understand that you're putting your hands on this huge, it's like a pulpit Bible, big King James Bible. And this guy comes forward, this worshipful master, and he says, we're going to lead you through this oath. And I'm not going to go through the whole oath because it takes like 5 minutes, but it's this long, involved, and ultimately blood-curdling oath. At the end, you say, you swear the essence of the oath is to keep the secrets of an entered apprentice Mason, which of course I'm violating right now. And then at the end, you swear that if I should ever reveal the secrets of an entered apprentice Mason, that I swear that I will have my throat cut across, my tongue torn out by the roots, and buried in the sands of the sea, where the tide ebbs and flows twice in 24 hours,
nigga.
should I ever knowingly violate this, my entered apprentice obligation. So help me God and keep me steadfast to the due performance of the same. Now,
Damn, nigga.
if you were a Christian pastor or whatever, wouldn't that kind of raise the hair on the back of your neck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was raised the head on the back of the necks of pretty much most people just
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at that point, the worshipful master says, my brother, in your current situation, what do you most desire? And then the guy that's with you, that he's a senior warden, says light, whispers it in your ear. And I say light. And then they remove the blindfold. And you see before you this big open Bible with a square and compass on it. And those represent the three great lights of Masonry: the Bible, the square, and the compass. And then they are revealed by the three lesser lights of Masonry, which are three burning tapers that are adjacent to the altar.
What do they
Now,
represent?
that's the most mild initiation. From there on, they get more and more creepy. So I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but
Real deep. Nigga.
basically, Masonry is an antichrist thing. It claims it's not religious, but it is. You know, they play around with it because they say, oh, well, we're just religious, but we're not a religion. Because if they were a religion, then if you were already a Christian, you shouldn't join another religion. Most Christians would say that. Like, if you're a Christian, you wouldn't become a Buddhist.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Masonry is a religion. I mean, it has all the qualities. This is what I tell people. If you look at Webster's dictionary, there's 3 things that make something a religion, according to Webster. Number 1, something has a belief in some sort of deity. Masonry has that.
Yeah.
Number 2, that belief is expressed in some sort of ritual.
Yeah.
And Masonry is full of ritual. I mean, that's pretty much all it is. And then the third quality is it has a system of some sort of ethics or morality. And Masonry has that.
Word.
So Masonry is a religion, and it's an antichrist religion. And the problem is that basically, if you drill down into this deep enough and read the books that are written by people like Albert Pike, like Albert Mackey, these are 2, or Arthur Edward Waite. These are 3 prominent scholars of 19th century, early 20th century Masonry.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them were occultists. Arthur Edward Waite, he wrote a book on black magic and pacts, how to sell your soul to the devil.
What the fuck?
And in my book, shameless plug, this is an older edition. This is the first edition. It looks different now. But in my book, I document how almost every single leading occult person of the late 19th and early 20th century was a Freemason. They just go together like, love and marriage.
If people want to go look at these books, I just want you to like kind of give them an idea, because if they want to confirm that for themselves, what books are you talking about? What people are you talking about?
Well, there's Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. He was like the greatest Masonic scholar in America of the 19th century. He was the sovereign grand commander of the Scottish Rite. And he's buried in the Scottish Rite Temple, 13 blocks from the White House. So that's one. The other one is Albert Mackey's Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. There's Arthur Edward Waite, who has a whole bunch of books on Masonry. Again, all of these are footnoted in my book. I mean, the last lots of pages of footnotes, because I'm not just making this stuff up. The other person who really you need to pay attention to in all of this, because he's more contemporary. Have you ever heard of Manly P. Hall?
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was one of the most notable occultists in America in the 20th century. He passed away in 1994, I think. He was the head of the Philosophical Research Society. He was a very high-level ceremonial magician. And he was also a 33rd degree Mason.
Did not know that part.
And he wrote this book, Lost Keys of Freemasonry. And in that book, among many things, he says that when you become a master Mason, you are like a warrior on the block. And that's kind of Masonic code. And the seething energies of Lucifer are yours to command.
Oh, shit.
So these are like the biggest
what
Freemasonic figures that we know about
Them niggas
today.
openly said
And
that
yet
shit?
most Freemasons have no idea about this.
Nigga,
Yeah,
have
because
no
they
idea.
don't read the books. They join the lodge for whatever reason. It might be for business, because see, it used to be.
Nigga, I know, and I ain't gonna say no names, bro. I know a nigga, bro, who used to fucking play in the church and shit, bro. Nigga who used to play in the church, drums and musical shit. Nigga was doing all that. He's a Freemason, though. Does this nigga know what he's getting into or not? Like, what the fuck, bro?
That up until I think the early 90s, lawyers and doctors were not allowed to advertise. They couldn't put like an ad in the telephone book.
Really?
It was like an ethics thing.
What the fuck?
And so the only way that lawyers and doctors could kind of build up business was by Masonry.
Mm.
They joined the Masonic Lodge. They send referrals to one another, you know, a good old boys network. So that's why a lot of people join the lodge. Many people join it because they had an uncle or a father or a brother who was in it. And honestly, unless
Shit, I know another nigga who was a Mason. This nigga used to go to church, and everybody would despise him, but he would go to church and shit. I don't understand that. Like those are so contradictory to each other. Unless niggas just don't know the higher levels of the whole Luciferian power bullshit. But hey,
you really understand the occult, it's boring. I mean, imagine the most boring church service you've ever been in. And having spent 5 years in the Mormon church, I can relate to that. But it's just, you know, guys were sitting there snoring during the Masonic ritual when I was there. And, you know, because it's like watching paint dry. And they go every week. And when I was involved in this, I was like the youngest guy in the lodge by 20 years. All these guys were like 50, 60, 70 years old, you know, and basically they were there because they were buddies. And afterwards, they'd, you know, play poker and eat, you know, sandwiches or something. But what none of these men understand, I don't think, is that deep down inside there's this very dark, evil energy, which is very sexualized. We document in the book how many men that have come to us over the years for deliverance, they were in Masonry and they began to be drawn into wickedness, into perversion, and even in the pedophilia. And it's dark, dangerous stuff because it opens up unholy desires within the men. And then, because of the way the spiritual world works,
what the fuck?
That in turn percolates down into their family.
I mean, if I'm gonna be right, I get it. Like, if you're doing something that's inherently demonic, you're opening yourself up to certain demons, demonic energies. So you're gonna act upon that. But that's funny as shit. You niggas became a Mason trying to fucking promote their fucking lawyer ads, and they ended up becoming a pedophile. And they get in person. That's crazy, bro.
And it affects the wife, who may or may not be involved, because there's a women's order of Masonry called the Order of the Eastern Star.
I know
symbol is a satanic.
I know somebody whose mom's the Eastern Star, nigga.
Satanic pentagram, by the way. So anyway, it affects your children. So many men.
Yo, I understand it now, bro. Holy, how did I not put two and two together? This nigga's mom is an Eastern Star, and then that nigga be going through certain. I'm not going to disclose information, but he be going through certain shit, bro. I'm just saying.
That were Masons. At first, it didn't appear a problem, but when their children started hitting puberty, they just started to go in various ways nuts because of this trickle-down influence of the Masonic Lodge.
Yeah, I actually interviewed a woman whose dad was a Freemason, and something very similar to that happened to her. So she was never involved in, you know, the Eastern Stars, and as far as I understand, her mom wasn't involved either. But there was, you know, an element of the children thing that you talked about with their family being abused, her siblings, sorry. And
what the fuck, nigga? The Eastern Star is a upside down pentagram. Holy shit, he wasn't when he said it's a satanic pentagram. I decided to look it up. What the? How the fuck is this nigga mom a fucking Eastern Star, but they're all churchgoers and shit? This shit don't make no sense, bro. We're talking to my fucking one of my boys about this shit. He gonna have a fucking anyway.
She also around puberty started developing, you know, some weird things. So it does correlate with what you're talking about. But I want to make sure that people understand. I want to go back to the degrees of Freemasonry. You talked about the Blue Lodge. You also mentioned the Scottish Rite. There's the York Rite. Can you explain how that's set up so people actually understand what it means to be a 33rd degree Mason? Because I think it's just there's a lot of confusion around it.
Well, it's a little complicated, but in America, English Masonry is different. But in America, after Blue Lodge, it forks off in two directions. You can either go to the Scottish Rite or the York Rite. The York Rite has 7 degrees. The Scottish Rite has 29 degrees. When I was made a Master Mason, I was told, because at that time, I believe it or not, I was going to the seminary to become an old Catholic priest. And some of my brother
Which I
Masons
don't
knew
get.
that. And he said, well, the York Rite is the Christian path, so to speak.
Nigga, what?
So why don't you go up that thing first? So
like, what?
And
bro, I hate this shit, bro. I don't understand. Like, bro, like, I'm not even a Christian, none of that shit, bro. But I don't understand. I don't get how, like, how do niggas be falling for this shit, bro? Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
the top of the York
This is the Christian one. Go here. You're learning about Luciferian energy, but it's all Christian. Like, what the fuck? Shut up.
Rite is what is called the Knights Templar degree.
Oh, I know about them niggas.
Now, in the Scottish Rite, you have these 29 degrees. Some of them are really creepy.
Like, what?
I mean, seriously creepy.
Like
they
what,
have one,
bro?
I think it's a 19th degree, where they actually try to call up the devil.
See? This is what the fuck I wanted to hear. I want to hear this type of shit, bro. Come on now. Let a nigga know, bro. Fuck you mean?
And finally, at the top, the 32nd degree, which is the Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret. And that's as high as most people go. If you're some really important person, either in industry or in politics or in entertainment, you might be offered to become a 33rd degree Mason, which is the highest degree in American Masonry.
Mm-hmm.
And many people, you know, presidents, actors, I mean, people like, you know, Roy Rogers, Harry Truman, all kinds of celebrities, Burl Ives, they're 33rd, or were, they're all deceased now, 33rd degree Masons. Gene Autry, many of these people.
George Washington.
So that's the structure
What?
of it. And
nigga, I found out. Nigga, hold up. Get the fuck out of here. Ronald Reagan was granted an honorary membership in 1988, and Joe Biden was declared a Mason at sight at Prince Hall Grand Lodge in South Carolina 2025. However, it's disputed whether he accepted the membership or not. Who's declared a Mason at sight? That's crazy, bro. We just had a Masonic president? Question mark, question mark.
Nuances in the York Rite that are very creepy, but the Scott.
Damn, all these niggas, Roosevelt, nigga, Andrew Johnson, the fuck, Andrew Jackson, James Monroe. These are all presidents. Franklin D. Roosevelt, I already said that. Harry S. Truman, he said that. Lyndon B. Johnson. Nigga, what the fuck? Gerald Ford was a fucking Mason. What? They said 19. Oh, no, that's when he died and shit. Okay, my phone tweaking.
Scottish Rite is much more creepy.
Hey, I'm pausing here just to let you know that if you want more details about this testimony, whether you want more context about what happened before, or you have questions that I didn't ask, then consider joining us on Locals. We put out a bunch of extra content there, like the extra footage, which is everything that happened before the story started, the episodes that are not available anywhere else. So why don't you... So to make sure that everyone understands, you know, kind of what you already set up, I'll try to summarize it. So there's the Blue Lodge, which everyone has to go through, which is 3 degrees, and then you have 2 choices, either the York Rite, which is 7, or the Scottish Rite, which is 29. So 3 plus 29 equals 32. So 32 degrees, and honorary 33rd degree for people that are deemed to be important. So that's kind of how it worked, only on the Scottish.
So how did he become 33rd if he's that, you know what I'm saying? He gonna tell us, but I'm curious, my nigga, you know what I'm saying? You that important, my nigga, what's in your nose?
Right, that's where the 33rd degree happens. So
well, actually, let me just correct something.
That nigga said, no, nigga, you're wrong. I got it. Let me stop. Shut the fuck up, Genie.
Please.
If you're a 10th degree 9th Templar, you can become a 33rd degree Mason, even if you never went through the Scottish Rite.
Okay.
Huh.
Minor detail, but
okay. Thank you for clarifying. So, all right. Now we talked about the 33rd degree Mason. People usually are like, that's the highest level of Freemasonry that there is. There's also a bunch of people that talk about, you know, there's secrets in Freemasonry that a lot of people don't know about, and you have to, you know, be deemed worthy to be told these secrets. You became a 33rd degree Mason, and you eventually joined this secret group or secret order or whatever you want to call it. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah.
Are you dreaming of a way to earn money on
Oh,
your
fuck
own
no.
terms
Hold up.
without starting a business? You are not alone. Millions of people
Oh,
are
shit.
desperately searching for legitimate remote
I
work
fucked
options.
up.
This isn't
Nigga, I hit a button. I had my fucking I don't know, snipping tool on and shit. My bad, bro.
Okay. Well, beyond what we just been talking about, over in Europe, there's what's called the Rite of Memphis Mitzrayim, and that is 360 degrees
Damn, bitch.
beyond what's I've already discussed, and most Masons don't even know about that.
I didn't know,
Now,
nigga. 360.
I got up to the if memory serves, 96 degree.
Damn.
And because how I did that is there was a group in Chicago.
So if a 33rd degree Mason if a 33rd degree Mason could command the Luciferian powers, what the fuck does a 360 Mason do, nigga? Fucking destroy the world, bitch? Like, are you the literal Antichrist? What the fuck?
Where they were involved with that thing, because Chicago was and probably still is a major nexus of Satanism.
Yo, I really hope that somebody that I really hope that somebody that wants to see this video, bro. Cause Chicago, especially Illinois, bro, there's some dark shit going on there, bro. And like that, the person who I'm thinking about who lives there will be having like these crazy dreams about like certain shit and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, when I went to check it out, bro, it was a whole fucking evil ass organization going on. There's this one being that runs. I ain't gonna say his name on the camera and shit, but nigga, I fucking knew it. Like, I already knew it because I saw this shit. But now he's saying this shit about all the satanic shit in Chicago. That's why that weird shit be happening there, bro. I'm about to tell that person. Hopefully I don't forget after this video and shit. Cause they live in Chicago and shit, or that's one of their spots is in Chicago and stuff like that, and the shit over there is horrible. You know what I'm saying? And that's why also, nigga, Chirac is crazy, nigga, because you got that evil shit going on. You know what I'm saying?
Most people don't know that.
I ain't know that.
So this group,
well, I did know it, but I didn't know
brought me into Memphis Mizraim, and ultimately there was a fellow that flew over all the way from Paris, who was the son of Pappas. Now, you probably don't know that name, but Pappas was a very prominent 19th century high-level occultist and ceremonial magician, and he wrote a book called The Tarot of the Bohemians, about tarot cards, and he came over and he brought me into the 97th degree. And this is where you get into the really deep stuff, the ideas behind sexual alchemy, how to supposedly live forever, all this creepy stuff.
You got that immortality inside there, which I bet is fucking demonic immortality, though. Let the demons walk in your body, you never die. Ugh, nigga. Fuck you mean? I wanna know what the fuck they learn. You see, like, I'll never become a Freemason, but I wanna know all 360 degrees. Not to do this shit, but to know what the fuck they be doing, and then to flip that bitch on his fucking neck, nigga. RKO. Fuck you mean, nigga. Fuck you mean, boy.
Stuff. Anyway, I would go up to these guys that had been in the Scottish Rite forever, older men that were in their 60s. And I'd say, okay, I'm now a sublime prince of the royal secret. Whang, they did this initiation, and I was a sublime prince of the royal secret. I said, so what's the royal secret?
Yeah.
And they go, I don't know.
That just blew my shit.
Now, whether they were just feigning ignorance.
I thought he was gonna tell us. That just blew me. You better tell us at the fucking end, nigga. Fuck you mean?
Because at this time I was like in my late 20s, or what? I don't know. But I learned eventually, after getting into the Rite of Memphis Mizraim, and again, this is something that probably only 1 in 1,000 Masons in America understands.
Okay.
Is that the royal secret is that you can live forever by sexually vampirizing children.
Oh shit! Oh, oh shit! Whoa, 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 bro, whoa. My fault, bro. Holy shit. I didn't think. I'm about to get mad. Like, you could live forever. Like, that's all it is. But the end part. Whoa. 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 You don't even got to do all that, bro. You don't even got to do all that. Yo, you could. Yo. You don't even got to do all that to live forever, bro. You don't even got to do all that shit, bro. What the fuck? Whoa, bro. What the fuck? My fault. My fault, bro. What the fuck, bro? And nigga, there's still a whole 30 minutes left in this bitch, bro. Like, whoa, bro. What the fuck?
literally. And
How the fuck you got no reaction? What the fuck? Yeah, sounds about right. What the fuck? Face ass.
and that's what these people believe.
I mean, shit, it's probably true. Like, not for nothing, it's probably true. I mean, I bet if you're feeding off children who have the fucking purest energy, you will live forever. But there's other ways too. You know what I'm saying?
Now, again, the vast majority of Masons have no understanding of any of this.
Nigga, I should tell
They
all the
just think
Masons.
it's this good old boys club that teaches, morality. And this is the way with almost all of these groups,
Like, what the fuck?
whether it's the Mormons or the Masons or the witches or the Vatican. They all have this vast number of reasonably good people, in some cases very good people, under them that are sort of
What the
feeding them
fuck?
all of this energy. Because let me back up. When I was into Satanism, we understood and were taught that Satan draws energy from being worshipped.
Yeah, like most deities.
And when these guys, they don't, even if they don't understand it, every time a Mason kneels at the altar and swears an oath, the devil gets energy from that.
Yeah.
And again, most
Duh.
Masons, if they heard this, they would be scandalized. They'd say, this guy's a nut. But the funny thing is, and like you say, you've talked with people who, to a greater degree or a lesser degree, and believe me, we've talked to dozens of people over the years in ministry who came to us who were, like sodomized as children, who were literally taken to the Masonic Lodge after hours, laid on that very same altar that the Holy King James Bible laid on, and they were
Whoa.
by a bunch of
Whoa.
old men.
Whoa.
High-level Masons.
Whoa. 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 What the fuck? I mean, I knew that this type of shit happened. You know what I'm saying? But just hearing, like, yeah, I would never, like, I could hear this shit 1,000 times. Every fucking time I'm gonna react like this, bro. Like, whoa, bro. What the fuck? Yo, these niggas need to die. These niggas need to actually die, bro. What the fuck? Nah, bro.
Until they were practically
Nah,
dead.
bro.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story that I heard without, details.
So that's why he has no fucking reaction. I've heard shit like this too, but still, nigga, I was still reacting. Like, yeah, I'm off the TP, but I'm barely off it right now. You mean? Like, I would act like this normally. What the fuck, bro? What's wrong? Yo, I can't believe this shit.
Because
Well, I can't. I can't believe that he's not reacting to this shit. Like, what the fuck?
it was an eyewitness account. It was a secondhand witness, but it's similar to what I heard before. So okay, a lot of said about Freemasonry, and you kind of said how Freemasonry is worshiping Lucifer,
No, don't
and I
skip
think that's made
that.
very clear in the books that you talked about.
Don't
if you want
skip
to
that.
check the references, they can check your book, or they can go directly to the references if they doubt anything, because it's in there. I want to go back to something that you said earlier, because we kind of did a tangent on Freemasonry, because I thought it was very important. But you talked about selling your soul. Let's
Okay.
get back to that, because
Okay,
I
let's talk about
definitely don't want to ignore that. Can you explain the circumstances?
That's why I know more about this. That's why I know more about. I don't know, bro. It's what the fuck, bro.
Well, again, there was this group in Chicago and they were entwined with this Memphis Mitzrayim rite, and they were also with this. It was like two things together: the Brotherhood, which I mentioned earlier, and then this Memphis Mitzrayim thing. And I interacted with these people, and at a certain point, they said, "Well, if you want to go any further and become a satanic priest."
No, fuck that. So I'm curious, cause like I said, like he said, he started all this shit because he wanted to be like a priest, right? At what point did he peep like, yo, this shit is not the way? Like when he heard about this shit with the kids, like did he still was he still staying inside this shit? Like what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying?
A satanic priest, you need to, sell your soul to the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And so they took me to this park.
How did I don't understand that. So you sold your soul, right? You can't sell your soul, but nigga, you sold your soul to become a satanic priest because you want to become a regular priest. That doesn't make sense. Like niggas got lost in the sauce. What the fuck?
In Glen Ellen, Illinois, which is like a suburb of Chicago. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was a very weird part. It was broad daylight. And they said, don't worry about it. The cops are all devil worshippers.
What the fuck?
And in the center of the park,
Those ones that be like, you fucking nigger. That's those dumb niggas. Yeah, it makes sense. You fucking nigger. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, them niggas.
there was this like area where they had these weird
Them cops.
Egyptian statues.
See, that's the shit I fucking hate. They had Egyptian statues and shit. That's the shit I hate, bro. Because the Egyptians wasn't even coming like that until very later in their history when they thought that these beings were actual like before they were just symbolic images, and they were actual symbolic images of different aspects of creation. Like Shu, that's just space. Nut, that's the heavens and the stars and shit like that. Geb, that's the fucking earth. You know what I'm saying? Tefnut, that's the energy inside space that can even make a fucking star. You know what I'm saying? Osiris Hashasar, that was your soul. Isis, as said, is your soul's wisdom. You know what I'm saying? But then over time, niggas start thinking, oh, these are actual beings. And then they had entities that would come and say, hey, I'm Isis, sacrifice some kids to me. And they would do that shit. And now you got Egyptian statues present when you're about to sell your soul. I hate that shit, bro.
There literally was an altar with horns, kind of like the pictures you see of the altar in the Temple of Solomon, that kind of thing. And they brought out this black book, and there were all these names in it. And this one supposed high-level Satanist kind of officiated, and I swore an oath to Satan, my allegiance to him.
I don't get that. You wanted to become a priest for the Lord, and now you're swearing allegiance to Satan. Shit don't make no fucking sense.
That I would serve him for 7 years,
and then
he would give me everything I wanted. Wine, women, song, power, occult power, whatever.
One of the things you wanted was fucking wine, bro. You get wine, nigga. I got wine right now. I'm sipping wine right now. I need Satan for that. What the fuck?
And at the end of those 7 years, he could kill me and take me to hell.
Like
by that time, I had been told that the Satanists believe that hell is like one long orgy of drugs, sex, and rock and roll, so to speak.
No fucking way, bro. No, like what? What? I can't believe this shit, bro. What the fuck?
So I didn't think going to hell was a bad thing at that time. So I had to sign my name in blood in this black book.
That nigga said, I bet. Oh, so after 7 years, I'm going to go to an infinite drug party with bitches and shit. Nigga, all the wine I can have, yeah, sign me up. These niggas are ridiculous.
And supposedly, this sounds funny, but
the whole shit sounds funny.
I was supposed to go out and find 7 people to sell their souls to the devil under me, so to speak, sort of like multi-level marketing.
So out of everything you said, that's the part that sounds silly. That part makes sense. You fuck with the devil, now he wants you to get other niggas to fuck with him too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but for the devil. And I did. I got 7, and I feel so bad about this. I've contacted as many of these people as I can find to try and talk them out of it and, repent and all that. But, and still, I didn't have the things I needed. I had, my life was not good.
You ain't get the
Even though I
wine.
was supposedly this high level
You ain't get the wine, bro.
satanic priest,
You ain't
blah,
get the
blah,
bitches,
blah.
bro.
I was working in a nothing job. I was a security guard in a warehouse, barely getting by.
Next time you go in the club and see security, that nigga might be a Mason. I'm just saying.
And then what happened is I'd written a check every year. I wrote a check to the Church of Satan. I think it was for $10 to renew my subscription.
I thought it was like 10,000.
They had a newsletter, probably still do, called the Cloven Hoof. And
I hate these names.
when I got
the Cloven Hoof, shut the fuck up.
the check back from the bank, because they used to do that, someone had written on the check, some lady by the handwriting, "I'll be praying for you in Jesus' name."
Damn.
And I just scoffed. And
how the fuck you scoffing and you believe in Christ? Like, I don't get that. I mean, I kind of get it. You're like, oh, well, Christ knew these things, so I must know these things. But you're way up the deep end at this point. Fuck you, like.
Funny thing is, let me just say, I had not had any contact with Christians. Nobody ever tried to witness to me. Nobody, had ever come to our door and try to, give us tracts or talk about Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Even
the Jehovah's Witnesses never came to our door because they were scared of us.
Damn.
Because people understood. They'd see us out in the backyard in the moonlight in black robes dancing around. So anyway, I
imagine just walking down the street one day, bro. You look at your neighbors, they in the backyard dancing in black rose moonlight. I'd be like, what the fuck? I'd go in the astral and I'd murk these niggas, bro, on me. I'd go in the astral and spiritually murk every single one of these niggas, bro. Do not fucking play with me, bro. I really will get like that.
I got this check and I just scoffed at it.
I'm murking niggas, bro.
And literally within 24 hours, it was like I was hit with a freight train. I lost all my occult power and believe the magical power is real.
It's real, but you're not telling me how you use that shit. Also, how'd you have power but didn't get your wine and bitches? I don't understand.
Lost my job. I got as sick as a dog, and I thought, what the heck, So we had an altar up in the attic. The whole attic, we painted it black. We had a magic circle on the floor. I had a big statue of Pan, the horn god. All kinds of creepy stuff. And I went up there and I knelt and I prayed to Lucifer. And I said, what's going on? I've done everything you've told me. And my life is just increasingly
gone to shit. Nigga, fuck you mean?
Gone to hell, literally.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, even when I was praying to Lucifer, Jesus answered my prayer. Because the next day, we got a call from these two teenage Satanist girls from Chicago. They wanted to come up and meet me because they heard about I was this great satanic priest. And so they came up on.
I don't like how he's not breaking down the magic and shit that he did, though. Like, you was this great satanic priest. What was you doing with that power for real, though? That's what I want to know.
The train, they said we had a gift for you. And I thought, well, I could use a gift right now because I just lost my job. I don't have hardly any money. And they show up at the door and they sit adoringly at my feet. And they give me these two comic books from Chick Publication. I assume you're familiar with Chick Publications.
I'm not. I think I'm too young for that.
Yeah, about to say
it's a Christian publishing house. And he made these, I don't know how many there are now, but at the time there were like 15 or so full color comic books. But they were about Christian themes. And they were intended to be soul-winning tools. And in the back of them, there was, a thing about, okay.
Why does satanic females have this shit? I don't understand it.
How to get born again. And the two that these kids gave me, I say kids because they were probably in their late teens, one was called Spellbound and one was called Angel of Light. And you can look these up, they're probably available online. And they are about the dangers of the occult and about how Lucifer is really the god behind all false religions.
Yeah, for the
And
most.
I
I
just
mean,
looked
depending on what you define Lucifer as, that is pretty true. You know what I'm saying?
at them or whatever,
But with other definitions of Lucifer, that's not true. But it just depends on how you define Lucifer.
and threw them in the door in the closet and forgot about them. Well, anyway, the next
I want to say this, even certain, like I'm like here, like look, I fuck with Christians. You know what I'm saying? All that shit. But even certain sections of them, you know what I'm saying? Some Luciferian shit, low key. Even certain sects of Hinduism and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like certain sects of Hinduism will sacrifice a nigga, bro. Like not all Hinduism. You know, there's some beautiful parts of Hinduism that are fucking amazing. I mean, amazing. Same with Buddhism. You know what I'm saying? I mean, then again, I don't really know about the darker sides of Buddhism. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know about that. You know what I'm saying? But I know with Hinduism, they will sacrifice niggas. Same with the Egyptians. At first, it was never on that type timing, but them niggas would get on that type timing after them entities came through. Oh yeah, for sure.
day, there's a knock on the door, and we open it up, and it's Mormon missionaries. Never had
Mormons.
one come before, and they always are in, two of them, two young men. And I remembered what this guy said, this Grandmaster Druid, back in 1973. We're now in 1980, and we joined the Mormon Church because we thought that was where we were supposed to be. This was a sign from Lucifer. So I joined the Mormon Church. I tried to be a good Mormon. I stopped doing dope. I stopped having orgies. I was just monogamous.
When you say dope, what type? What you mean by dope? Cause dope be, you know what I'm saying? Dope be linked to a lot of different things. Like niggas even call weed dope. You know what I'm saying? So like, what drug you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you mean like heroin? Do you mean cocaine? Do you mean just weed or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
And the only thing we did, because we had been led to believe,
imagine. Sorry, because he's older now. Imagine this old nigga in orgies, bro. Because I'm sure when he did it, he wasn't this old, obviously. You know what I'm saying? But it's like seeing this nigga now. I can't imagine. I cannot. I can, I cannot imagine this nigga in an orgy, bro. Oh shit, bro.
by this Druid guy, that the Mormons were white witches.
I hate Mormons, bro. My
And
fault. I don't hate Mormons, but Mormonism is just like, no, bro. That's one John where it's just like, no, bro. Like, it's certain shit that I would just never get into. You know what I'm saying? Mormonism is one of them. There's another one that I was about to say, but I don't want to disrespect nobody when I say that shit, bro. But I would never get into that shit either.
So we still did white witchcraft, but we didn't do Satanism anymore. We got all of that out of our lives. Went to the temple in the Mormon Church, did all their secret rituals.
I feel like, I mean, you give us the great secret of Freemasonry. You got to give us a little bit more sauce about the Freemason shit, though, and about what they was doing. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, what would they do for real? Like, why he ain't tell us that? Like, I get it. You give us the great secret, but I want to know more, bro. Fuck you mean, bro? That's not enough for you, boy. Fuck is you saying? We still gonna finish this shit out though. You know what I'm saying? We go Freemasonry secret cousin. That's the section we in right now. That's this shit pretty long. What's this one? Truth Awakening. This one's gonna be about coming to Christ, I think, and then we got the final message. Word. I think this part's still gonna be good. This part's when I might be like, we'll cut it off. We gonna see though. Cause I ain't gonna lie, some of these stories, bro, niggas be coming to Christ, but it be crazy shit that be happening to them. Bro, it be like that should be interesting as fuck. Like with this one satanic high warlock, bro. This motherfucker was approached by a girl who has some fucking tinfoil. When the nigga, bro, when the fucking satanic nigga touched the fucking tinfoil, bro, nigga was transported into like this fucking void, and the girl was speaking like, nigga, I know you're a Satanist, bro. That shit not right. You did all these sins, bro. Mother Mary's calling you, bro. All that shit, bro. That shit was kind of dope. So if it's some shit like that in here, bro, I could fuck with it, nigga. Did Jesus himself come down and walk your ass to the cross and say, bitch, I died here so you can find the path? Like, you know, I want to know. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I'm fucking lit right now. I'm lit as shit right now. I can't even lie. I got lit how I am right now, maybe about like 5-10 minutes ago. I'm pretty lit.
which are
I'm
very
not gonna lie.
Masonic.
Pretty fucking
Well,
lit.
let's actually stop there because this is actually important. What kind of role did you have in the Mormon Church? Because we just talked about missionaries coming to your house and you said you joined. Can you explain a little bit, the progression and what kind of role you eventually got there?
Yeah, well, okay, you get baptized,
Get baptized.
and then after a year, if you mind your P's and Q's and pay your tithing and all of that, you're made it.
I hate how you gotta pay bread to this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like paying bread to religion, it's kind of crazy to me, bro. You know, like it's one thing if you're just like a teacher, cause me, right? I got a Patreon, right? But this ain't no fucking religion. This is just if you want to support me, you could pay. You could pay me, and as a result of supporting me, I'll give y'all some exclusive content. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not a fucking religion. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting.
An elder.
At the same time, though, I would make a Patreon because I've been making my own philosophy called Dadaism, the art of staying on point, and I would make that a Patreon, John. So maybe I'm being a hypocrite. I don't know though. I feel like I don't know. I'll shut up. Maybe I'm being a hypocrite. I don't know.
And that's what I was. I was an elder. And then later, I was made an elders quorum president. So that's like an administrative role right under the bishop. Now, understand.
But Dadaism wouldn't be like an organized religion like Mormonism. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. You feel me? Like, I don't know, bro.
And in a Mormon church, I don't know if it's still this way, but back then, this is in the 80s, a bishop, like most people think of a bishop as some really high level guy, In the Mormon church, the bishop is the head of a local congregation. They call it a ward, W-A-R-D.
Word.
And an elders quorum president is kind of like right under the bishop and takes care of administrative stuff. And I had gotten a temple recommend, which is like a card that allows you to go to the temple because you're not allowed to go to the temple unless you're worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, we went to Salt Lake City because that's like the Cadillac of Mormon temples, the Salt Lake Temple. And we went through the rituals, and that, I'll tell you, that's a whole story in itself. Do you want to get into that?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, well, so we go. Now, mind you, we had information from this Grand Master Druid. He said, give these words to the guy when you go into the Mormon temple. And they had a system which was probably kind of ahead of its time. This was, let's see, 1981, where you had this card and it had a code on it. Like nowadays, everybody's familiar with it, some kind of magnetic coding. They'd put it into the machine and that would indicate that you're legit. And then we were told to say these words. And when we put these words into the computer after our card, the whole system went, it crashed, the entire computer system. And so they didn't know what to do about that. So They got rid of the people that they could. They took us through the ritual, which involves a whole, I mean, it's hours long. It's kind of like the Masonic ritual on steroids. I mean, you go downstairs, you get all basically naked. They wash your body, and it's done man to man, woman to woman. But they
That
wash your
shit,
body, they anoint your body with oil.
nigga. If I'm getting washed the fuck up, bro. If I'm getting naked, bro, I need me a women and nice fine daddy touching on me, bro. Fuck do you mean, bro? You had a nigga anointing you with oil, bro, and you was naked, bro? Did he anoint your dick with it too, bro? I'm sorry, bro. If I'm in that, like, I get it with the female side, right? With the female side, if you're a female, you might not feel comfortable with a man touching on you in that type of way. Like with females, they're a bit more open to, like, you know what I'm saying, like being more like vulnerable in that way with like the same sex. You know, like girls will kiss each other as friends and not even be gay. Like I've seen that. But with niggas, bro, if I'm a nigga, bro, I need me a nice, fine baddie. If you're gonna fucking anoint me, bro, give me a badge on, bro. Plus, if you give me a fucking badge on, I have more incentive. At this point, I'm getting anointed just to be with the badge on. Now, granted, me personally, I got a girl, but if I'm in this scenario, bro, you better fucking anoint me with the baddest John ever, bro. What the fuck you mean, nigga? What was this nigga anointing your dick? You had a nigga touching your dick. You had a nigga touching your naked body, bro. A nigga was touching your naked body. I'm not doing that, bro. I need me a nice, fine baddie. Not no old white woman who gonna cook me, who gonna give me the, who gonna bake me cookies and shit. Not grandma who gonna make the yams and the cornbread. No, I need me a nice, slim, thick baddie. If you gonna make me get fucking naked and shit, I need me a baddie touching on me, bro. Fuck you mean, bro. Now, granted, I got me a girl and shit. So I wouldn't want to do none of that shit. Plus, I don't fuck with this shit anyway. But if I did fuck with this shit, bro, you better give me some fine shit, bro. You niggas bugging. What the fuck?
You're given this magical temple garment, which you may or may not have heard of. And what's interesting is, just to back one step up, a lot of people don't know Joseph Smith was the founder of the Mormon Church. In 1844, he was made a Master Mason in Nauvoo, Illinois. And after he was made a Master Mason, he kind of stole most of the Masonic ritual and created this temple ceremony.
Well, I be
The
damned.
whole thing is just bizarre, and I go into great depth. I have a video called Mormonism's Temple of Doom, a DVD that you can get that goes into all this in detail.
Yeah, Mormonism is booty, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. That shit booty.
But anyway, this is where it gets kind of
Like, there's one religion I'm thinking of which is popular, not Christianity. There's one, because I don't even got a problem with Christianity, but there's another one that's pretty popular that I would never join that shit. But Mormonism, like, that's just some poop, bro. Oh my god, that shit's some poop.
odd, because after this is all over, we were invited to go meet with the president of the Salt Lake Temple, which is kind of a big deal. And he said, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "Well, we've been told," we didn't say by a druid, but we've been told that we need to talk to an apostle. Now, understand that in the Mormon Church, there's this hierarchy. There's the prophet, who's called the president, and then there's the first presidency, which is 2 advisors and the prophet. Under them are 12 apostles. So he said, "Well, I'll see what I can do." So he arranged for us to go to the church office building and meet with one of the 12 apostles. At that time, it was Elder James Faust. Believe it or not, that was his name, Faust, which is kind of weird. Faust is a very prominent name in the history of the occult. So we went there, up into the church office building, and to make a long story short, he said, "Well, what do you want to talk to us about?" I said, "Well, we had these dreams. And this is true. And again, back then, nobody knew what was going on in the Mormon temples. The stuff had not been made public in any way. A couple of years after this, a couple, Chuck and Dolly Sackett, put out a book called What's Going On in There. They were former temple workers, and they revealed the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at this time, there was no anybody. And I said, we saw this ritual where there was this white altar with a satin covering, just like what's in the celestial room of the Mormon temple. And on it was this naked young
Who the fuck did the celestial room of the Mormon temple? Get the fuck out of here.
girl. And
Wait, what?
everybody was around.
Wait.
And on it was this naked young girl. And everybody was around it chanting, Hail Lucifer. And he said, this apostle guy, he said, well, I can tell you are very extraordinary people, and I bear you my solemn testimony. This is a big deal. If you ever talk to a Mormon, if they start saying, I bear you my solemn testimony, this is like a big deal for them. That what you have said is true. And if you can come to Salt Lake and live here, we will find a place for you in the worship of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually curious about one thing.
What I'm curious about, fuck what you're curious about. I'm sorry. What the fuck shut up, Genie. Anyway. Why did they have a naked on the side there saying "All Hail Lucifer"? Like, did they touch the girl like how they did with the Freemason shit, or what's going on?
You talked about the Druid telling you that this Luciferian secrets were found in Freemasonry and in the Mormon Church, right? And you had been a Freemason at that point. You also went to the temple in Salt Lake. Can you talk about the similarities, if there are some, and what are they between Freemasonry and Mormon?
I mean, you could do that too, but talk about the naked girl. Why was she there? Did y'all do something to her? Was she a vessel for Satan? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the fuck?
Well, first of all, if you go to Temple Square, you'll see Masonic handshakes. You'll see the all-seeing eye. You'll see the sun, the moon, the stars. There's no crosses on the Mormon temple. There's nothing Christian on the outside of the Mormon temple. When you get inside the temple, most of the similarities are the fact you go through 3 levels.
Right.
And in each level, you're taught hand signs.
Oh, they be stacking gang signs and shit.
And things that are all very similar to Masonic stuff.
They be, yeah.
And you are made to swear an oath. And when in the first level, which I think is, it's been ages since I've gone through all of this, you put your hand to your throat and go like this, the same as you do in the entered apprentice degree of the Masonic Lodge. In the third level, you are taught another set of secret handshakes. And then you're instructed, and this is where it gets really Masonic. You're instructed to go up, and they have this veil, which they say is like the veil in Solomon's temple. So you've got Masonic markings. You have a square and a compass.
Shit. I did the wrong. I did not mean to mute that shit. These niggas love mentioning Solomon's temple and all this other shit. I remember the Freemason. I used to work with a Freemason. He got fired. Not for being a Mason though, for some other bullshit. That nigga used to always try to connect. Cause I got one boy. I would say he's Christian, but that nigga he's essentially a Christian, but in his own kind of way. He will always try to connect with the Christian about some. Oh yeah, we mentioned Solomon's temple and Freemasonry too, and you know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, shut your ass up. Y'all niggas on a whole different type time. What the fuck you mean, boy? What you talking about?
So you've got Masonic markings. You have a square and a compass on your chest. You have another marking on your navel and another Masonic marking on your knee. Mm-hmm. Okay. These same markings are.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bro. I'm bent. I'm bent as fuck right now, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. What the fuck, nigga? Y'all niggas know the game Twister? That don't got shit on me right now, bro. Fuck you mean, bro?
On the veil, but they're stitched so they're holes. And there's a guy on the other side of the veil that you can't see who represents Heavenly Father. He represents God. And you go up to this guy and you're instructed.
You see, why don't we talk about the Freemason shit? The Freemasons mention God, all that other shit. Does God really want you sexually vamping off kids, bro? Then with this Mormon shit, I don't know why the naked girl was there for the Mormon shit. They didn't tell us, but hey, like, would God really want this? You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, what are we talking about? And there's no way that he's still doing this shit. Your whole objective was to be a priest. How the fuck did you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck?
That you put your hand through the veil, and this is called the 5 points of fellowship.
The 5 points
And
of
this
bullshit.
is right out of Masonry and right out of witchcraft. Gardnerian, Alexandrian witchcraft, and Masonry and Mormonism all have these 5 points. And the 5 points of fellowship are foot to foot, knee to knee, hand to back, breast to breast, and mouth to ear.
The fuck does that mean, though?
And anyhow, so you're embracing this unknown guy through this veil, and he whispers to you the secret name of the celestial kingdom.
What is it?
And you ready for this?
I am.
I don't know. I think
It's health in the navel, marrow in the bones, strength in the loins and in the sinews, power in the priesthood be upon me and my posterity for all generations of time and all eternity.
Okay. It's not that.
Now,
it's
that
not
might
bad.
sound reasonably benign,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
except for the fact that it's almost word for word out of the satanic grimoire.
Okay.
It's a satanic incantation.
Okay.
The only difference is that obscene words are used. And then, when you're done with that, this guy draws you through the veil into what is called the celestial room, the celestial kingdom.
Shut the fuck up.
And basically, it's like this beautifully appointed, everything is in white or light beige, with sofas. It's like being in a really fancy hotel lobby.
Mm-hmm.
And people are invited to just sit and absorb the wonderfulness of it. And they believe, literally, that God the Father, who they believe to be a man in a body, and they believe that he invisibly walks around this celestial room.
They believe some bullshit.
And I don't know if you know this or not, but they believe he has hundreds of goddess wives.
These niggas just want to smash multiple females, bro. It's all the same shit.
And that he is constantly impregnating these wives who give birth to spirit children who come down. And they believe that every child that is born on earth is first fathered in heaven with Heavenly Father and one of his goddess wives.
Yeah, I've heard about that. And I think a lot of Mormons, if they hear you talking, they say that's not true. But if you actually go back to the history of what Joseph Smith taught, like you'll see. And if you talk to some of the elders probably in the Mormon church that know about this stuff, they'll tell you about it.
This is why Mormonism is so butt. I'm sorry, but it is. Like, what the fuck? If you're a Mormon, bro, get some help. Question yourself. This isn't right.
What I find in what you said is essentially that, the details of Mormonism and Freemasonry, like the details are different, but the structure is very, very similar. And you can see where kind of Joseph Smith took it from, especially since he was a Freemason. So that's super interesting. I want to go back to your story, though, because you joined the Mormon church to try to help your life. Your life you were really struggling at the time, and you're trying to, become a better person, have a better life, and all of that. What did your life look like inside of the Mormon church?
Why is everybody putting up with ads
No.
like it's 2010? Like, it's
No.
2025, guys. Just use.
Rondo was crazy, bro. I just got an ad about an ad blocker. That's crazy. And what got me, how the fuck is an ad blocker gonna make an ad saying get this ad blocker? And I don't know. There's a lot of shit that just fucked me up about that shit. Why would, I don't know. I don't know. Shut the fuck up. Watch the video, Genie.
because I was no longer actively worshiping the devil. I mean, I thought I was worshiping the true God, but I wasn't. And
That was dumb. My
I
bad.
eschewed all of my vices. I mean, I was no longer doing cocaine or smoking dope, or I never was one for drinking alcohol.
Guilty is
So, I
charged.
mean, it was
Shit.
better,
Hold up.
but
Guilty is charged. He said drinking alcohol. Guilty is charged. I am a bit lit right now. I don't normally drink either. I think when I drink, it's gonna mainly be on video. To be honest, bro, because I had this TP in my fridge for a grip for a long ass time. You know what I'm saying? So shit. No, I'm pretty lit though. I'm not gonna cap. That's what I'm saying.
as I rose in the ranks, and this is kind of I'm glad you asked this question, as I became an elders quorum president. And again, I don't know how things are now, but back in this, this was in the early 80s, the elders quorum president was supposed to see that all of these guys under him, these elders, would go out and visit every home in the ward, in the local congregation, to see how they were doing and to bring them a message from the prophet, quote unquote. And I'll tell you one thing the Mormons get right. Like I tell people, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And they are very good at taking care of their people. If you saw a neighbor who was in trouble in some way, like they needed their sidewalk shoveled or whatever, you would go do that. And the idea was you were going to go and love bomb this neighbor and make them want to join the Mormon church. And that's pretty good. I mean, I don't fault that. But, you got to realize, for me, let me just put this in perspective. At this time, I had a job working in a retail store, 40 hours a week. In addition to that, I literally had to spend another 40 hours a week working.
I gotta use the bathroom. I'll be right back. All right, my nigga, we back. I feel like a bitch better take her back. Hey, my fault. I'm back though. Let's go.
That I literally had to spend another 40 hours a week working for the Mormon church with no pay, because none of the people, except at the very highest levels of the Mormon church, get any salary. So again, that's an admirable thing, but I was just working myself to death. And oftentimes I would have to go and do the home teaching because I couldn't find somebody else to do it. And I would visit these people and I would talk to these people. I'll tell you this one story. There was this one guy, I won't say his name, but he was this older fellow. He was sweet as can be, married, had a family, but he was stuck at being a deacon. A deacon is a 12-year-old boy.
What?
If you turn to the age of 12 years old, the bishop lays hands on you and makes you a deacon. Okay. So this guy was stuck at being a deacon because he wasn't worthy. Why wasn't he worthy? He couldn't stop smoking.
Okay.
And as you may know, there's the big no-nos in the Mormon churches. You can't smoke. Of course, you can't take any kind of illegal drugs, and you can't drink coffee. So this guy was trying, I don't know if you've ever been a smoker, but it's a hard thing to get off your back. And I would give this guy priesthood blessings. I would pray with him. I would fast with him. I'd do all this, and he was stuck. He was going to end up being like the Mormon church's only 90-year-old deacon because of the merciless quality of Mormonism and the fact that it didn't really have any power to transform his life. And there were numerous stories like that. And it began to put a crack in my belief in Mormonism, because I thought, okay, if this is the true church, which is what they teach, then why, if I'm holding the priesthood, I was a holy Melchizedek priesthood elder, and if I laid hands on a guy to be set free from nicotine.
No one even, man, when you read the Bible, bro, they don't even talk about my they mention him, you know what I'm saying? But like they don't go in depth about him at all, bro. Yeah, but then he's mentioned inside he's mentioned inside Genesis, right? And then he's mentioned in like the New Testament also and shit. How you become a Melchizedek priesthood elder, bro? Like that shit. Like, bro, Mormonism is so butt, bro. Cause they don't even be mentioning his they mention him, but like they don't go in depth on Melchizedek and his priesthood and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck, bro?
And if I laid hands on a guy to be set free from nicotine, why didn't that work?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I was doing it like every week.
Especially because you had been in
Cause you're not no fucking Melchizedek. That's why, nigga. Fuck you mean?
the occult before, and you had some of the power of the occult, and so it's like you understood that there was power somewhere, and that Lucifer could give you power, and that you thought you were in the true church, and you found none of this power. So I understand. But what did you do? Because you said it started to question your whole worldview. Like, how did that develop over time?
Well, yeah, and okay, leaving on that,
This nigga thought he was gonna say, "I'm a Melchizedek priest. Oh, no more nicotine." Fuck, you thought that was really gonna work, nigga? No, he gonna be smoking the next hour. I was gonna say the next day. No, nigga, the next hour, that nigga smoking, bro. Like, fuck you mean?
A performance
Nope.
that
Nope. All right, nigga, we back.
Time.
well, yeah, and okay, leaving on
I'm
that,
bent, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
I ended up having to move out of Milwaukee because at that time my wife wanted to go to nursing school, and there was a nursing school in Dubuque that was good. And so I was without a job, and I had some time on my hands, and I was trying to find work. And I was plugged into the local Mormon church in Dubuque, the ward there.
Debut.
But of course, I
weird
was
name.
no longer an elders quorum president. And I saw this thing in the local penny advertiser, that said, "Oh, there's going to be a prophecy seminar at this park." I went, "Oh, well, that's good." I thought I could go
seminar.
to this prophecy seminar because it didn't say what church it was.
I would have never.
And I can
went there.
steal some sheep.
Oh. Nah, I'm thinking he trying to go there to get prophecy. Nah, he trying to take them. He trying to take they niggas. Nah, that's hilarious, bro. What?
Because I belong to a church that's being run by a true prophet. Whoop-de-doo. And so I went to
Nah, that's funny as hell, bro. I'm not going. I'm thinking he thought it was gonna be a good idea just to go there and get some prophecy. No, he's like, nah, nigga, I got the true prophet. I'm gonna take y'all niggas, bro. Oh shit, that's hilarious, bro.
this thing, and I had never been to a Protestant service.
He became a Protestant after?
And there was
Oh, my
this
fault.
evangelist up there, and they were talking about the book of
Evangelist.
Revelation.
The book of,
And
the book of Revelation, I haven't finished it, but I've been reading it. I fuck with it. I ain't gonna lie. I fuck with it. I ain't gonna lie. The Bible's a fire ass book. It's just the religion that's attached to it that be getting shit fucked up. Like you don't gotta let you see. Like niggas be letting their religion define the book. Just read the book as if it's just a regular book that you would read. You know what I'm saying?
this guy was presenting the gospel in the context of explaining that
I'm not gonna lie, bro. The four gospels, that's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, bro. Fire, bro. Them bitches are fire. Can't even lie. This nigga Christ was different, bro. The red letters, bro, that nigga was different, bro. I'm not even a Christian, but I fuck with that shit. Yeah, nah.
their version of what the book of Revelation means.
Their version.
So
okay.
anyway,
Wonder what
he
their
was
version
talking
was.
about how you're saved by grace through faith,
Mm-hmm.
the basic Christian gospel.
Kind of hate that.
And I kind of raised
You are saved by grace through faith. You are, if you read the Bible, the ideology behind it is that you are saved by grace. You're given grace through your faith. But you also show your faith through your works. Like, niggas love taking Paul's teachings, right? This is what I don't understand. Like, do niggas really read the Bible? Because you have the Gospels, right? Then you have the book of Acts. Then you have, like, all the epistles of Paul, right? And Paul's preaching heavily about faith, right? And how from your faith you attain grace, and that's how you're saved, right? But then he also mentions a lot about, like, the law. and how purely following the law is not going to save you. It's your faith that gives you grace, and then you're saved. So niggas be saying, oh, the law don't matter at all. If I have faith in Christ, I'll be saved. But then what niggas don't read after all this shit from Paul, right after Paul's teachings, you have the book of James. James mentions how faith without works is dead and how you show your faith through your works. On top of that, Paul also mentioned how the law of God is already written inside your heart. The direction of God, what God wants you to do is already inside your heart. It's your moral compass and all this other shit. You already have that. And I get mad when niggas say, oh, if I have faith, I'll be saved through my grace. It's like, no, nigga. Because true faith is shown through your works. You would naturally follow the law. Because there's people who follow the law out of fear and don't have true faith. That's what Paul's talking about when he say fuck the law. Paul becoming like fuck the law in regards to the fact that niggas be trying to follow the law but don't be true followers of the Lord. Like, you see this in the Gospels where Christ is doing certain shit, and then you have the fucking what's the Pharisees talking about some, oh, you can't heal a nigga on the Sabbath, and they're mad attached to the law, and it's like, nigga, this is fucking Christ right here. Christ got killed for shit like this. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you only have the law, you're cooked. You know what I'm saying? But if you have faith, and then your faith shows your works, you would naturally follow the law anyway. So it's like faith over the law, right? He pretty much, what Paul did was put having true faith, he put that over the law. But if you have faith, you're going to follow the law anyway. That's why I hate when you have niggas that be saying, I believe in Christ, I believe in Jesus, I believe in all this shit, but the actions don't show it. I hate that shit, bro. I hate that shit. Because James, right after Paul, that nigga literally said, you will show your faith through your works and through your actions. Like, it's not your works that save you, but your faith is going to be shown through your works anyway, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I be hating. Like, niggas don't read the book. Niggas don't. And that the thing is, that shit is facts. If you truly, because the word faith means to be steadfast, aka you're super firm in your belief and you're super firm with your oneness with the Lord. If that's truly true, if you're truly one with your highest consciousness, you'll always be acting from that shit, and therefore niggas gonna see your faith through your actions naturally. You mean? I be hating when niggas be distorting and twisting that shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? You feel me?
Raised my hand being, this wiseacre, because they didn't know I was a Mormon. And you see, Mormons teach that basically there's only two choices for the true church.
Mm-hmm.
Either the Catholics, who claim, to have this apostolic succession all the way back to Peter up to the present day, or else Joseph Smith, who was supposedly given this mandate in the year 1830 by the angel Moroni and by John the Baptist and whatever.
By some bullshit.
And because they said that all the Protestant churches were split off of the Catholic Church, and so therefore they had no authority.
Ugh.
And so either you got to be a Catholic or you got to be a Mormon. And so I raised this point with this guy, and he says to me, well, where do you get the idea that you...
I don't know everything. I don't think I know much about Catholicism, but from what I do know, I could actually kind of fuck with it. Now, granted, it can be seen as idolatry because they do worship saints and shit. But I don't think there's anything wrong with giving praise to a saint. Like, yo, this saint was so amazing, if you still keep the Most High in your forefront. And that's just on some basic religious ideology kind of shit. But there's certain shit with Catholics that also be on some bullshit. Like the early Catholics, they was on some bullshit. I ain't gonna cap.
Need to be baptized in order to be saved. It says in Acts 16:31, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved, and thy house. And that was the Bible verse that hit me. because I'd already read the whole King James Bible, because the Mormons use the King James Bible. I read the Bible through 5 times.
Plus, you wanted to be a priest anyway. Your whole purpose of doing all this shit was to become a priest anyway. So you should have been already believing that shit anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? If you wanted to be a priest, you like, did you only read the Bible when you became a Mormon? Because why did you want to become a priest then? I don't understand that. If you want to become a priest, you better have already known about the Bible. And if you did, you wouldn't have did all this shit anyway. I don't know. It's just weird to me why he even did all this shit. It's weird.
Times as a Mormon. But I'd never seen that verse, like, how Bible verses leap out at you.
That is true. I know for a fact that when I finish reading the Bible, then read it again, it's going to be completely different.
And this verse went through my magic Mormon underwear like a bullet through a sheet of wet tissue
My
paper.
magic Mormon underwear.
And I went home and I was trembling and I prayed and I fasted, because that's what Mormons are supposed to do. If you run into a spiritual dilemma, it says right in Doctrine and Covenants, which is one of the Mormon scriptures. Of the 4, they have 4 scriptures. They have the Bible, the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. And I prayed and I fasted, and supposedly, if you do that, if what you're thinking of is true, you get a burning in your bosom. And if it's,
I mean, if we're going to relate this to the Bible, that is true. Prayer and fasting is like the biggest shit to do, which actually, here's the real reason of why that can actually work. When you're praying, you're constantly reaffirming your spiritual connection. When you're not eating, you're taking awareness away from your body, because your body's what wants to eat. Your spirit doesn't need to eat. So if you're not eating, you could actually get more in tune with your spirit. Plus, you're praying and literally reaffirming your spirit. So that actually can help you. Like, that is a real thing that can help you. We just need to understand why it helps. It really can help, though.
it's not true, thinking of is true, you get a burning in your bosom. And if it's not true, the Holy Spirit will send you a stupor of mind and you will forget what you're even talking about. So I didn't get either one.
No, that part's interesting.
And so I did bring to mind the comic books that I had got.
I don't even know what the fuck they mean when they say that. The burning bosom and the other shit. What you mean by that fully? I kind of get it, but I don't also. Like, what you mean?
5 years earlier.
At the same time, I am pretty fucking lit right now. So, yeah. Me being lit is maybe why I don't understand it, but I'm just like, I don't know.
Or more by this time. And I went and dug them out because I remember in the back it was How to Be a Christian. And so I got down at the foot of my bed. I knelt. I took off my magic Mormon underwear because I didn't want any static on the line.
Hold on, I'll be right back real quick. Hold up. All right, my nigga, we back. Hey. Yo, the video was paused. My fault, bro. Did I never start the shit again, bro? I'm tripping.
Journey
what's going on?
I took off my magic Mormon underwear because I didn't want any static on the line when I talked to God. And I prayed the prayers in the back of that comic book and I got born again. And that was the beginning of my journey as a true Christian.
All right. Now, with that being said, right, I feel like at this point, we don't gotta watch no more. If you want to watch the rest of this shit, I'll put the link in the description box down below. But I mainly came here to learn about Freemasonry and the dark secrets. They mentioned the Mormonism shit. Kinda want to know that shit too, but at this point, it's not really about that no more. So I think I can end the video right here. I think it's a fair play. I think it's fair to end the video right here. So with that being said, I'm gonna catch you in my next video. Yeah, I love you. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new. Like I said, I'm pretty lit. I don't know what the fuck to. I don't know what the fuck to say. What the fuck to say right now. I'm gonna just end the video though. I love you. I'm gonna catch you. Peace the freak out.